All right, let me share the screen. 1 second. This is actually my husband is not here to Abhi. 1 second. No? I'm doing with my laptop. And okay, can you see the screen?
Yes.
All right. So okay. So today we'll continue our discussion on the Canto 2, which is from the Shrimad Bhagavatam Mahapuran. So whoever have joined, welcome, and thank you for joining. So let's start. Before that, let's do the invocation. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. All right. So, in the previous session, what all we have discussed? So, we've discussed the last chapter of the Canto 1, where we saw that King Parikshit was ruling righteously. He has, upheld the dharma, and under his righteous rule, the earth was also happy. Then one incident happened where once while he has gone for hunting, he was exhausted and thirsty, and he was looking for water and something to eat, and he entered the hermitage of sage Samika. And because the sage was in deep meditation, which was he was in samadhi, he could not properly engage the king, and the king for some reason took it in a uh, he thought that the sage is trying to disrespect him, and he put a dead snake around his neck. So because of this act, the and he went away. Then the incident was, when his son, that the sage Samika's son, came upon this knowledge that a king has put a dead snake upon his father's neck. It angered him, and he cursed him to die in 7 days by the bite of the serpent king called Takshaka. So now, when the sage Samika realized the gravity of his son's action, he regretted, because he said that he was a very righteous king, and this punishment is very harsh. But then he uh, informed Parikshit, King Parikshit, about it. And when he heard, King renounced his kingdom and all the worldly attachments. He vowed to fast until death, and he went to the banks of Ganga, where many sages who knew that he is one of the last descendant of the Dwapar Yuga, and he is about to die, and he was personally protected by Krishna. So all these great sages came to bless him and offer their guidance. So he asked them all one question, which is, what is the highest duty of a person who is facing death? And while he was asking this question, Sage Shuka came there, and Sage Shuka, actually, he asked the same question. So the Canto 2 is all about the conversation between, and from now onwards the conversation is between Sage Shuka and Parikshit, on various aspects. So this Canto 2, as far as I have seen, it is less of story, but more of knowledge. So um, we'll and very very interesting things will come across in this chapter. So let's see what is the first chapter contain. So this first chapter of Canto 2 is the process of meditation and the cosmic form of the Lord. So if even in this image, if you see the Lord has, it's just not one. He has many things within. So let's see. So, Sri Shuka, when Parikshit asked these questions, what is the highest duty of a person who is dying, and otherwise also what is in general people are supposed to do. So when he was asking these questions, Shukhamuni replied, and he was actually very happy about it. And he's saying that you have asked this question for the good of the world, and this question I'm welcoming it to the most. And then he says that it is honored by those, this question that you've asked is honored by those who know the self, and is the most important of all that is to be heard, remembered, and chanted. So then he says that um, we are all householders, right? Most of us grahastas. So he's saying that the grahastas are usually, because King Parikshit was also a grahasta, so that's why he's saying. So they are usually engaged in lot of activities, yagnas. So, but he's saying that, but being busy like that, we go unaware of the truth of the self. So the very few of us are getting aware of who the self, who is that one who resides within. So he's saying that, so this question that you've asked is welcome by anyone who self-realized, because this is the most important of all that is to be heard, remembered, and chanted. And then he says that there are thousands of things worth hearing and paying attention to, but those who are attached, they need to know this. And then he tells about these types of yagnas that the householders do. So there are five types, and one is Deva Yagna. So what is Deva Yagna? So we are offering prayers, home, we do homa, we pray to celestial deities, express our gratitudes. So deities can be Indra, most of these Vastu, they are all putting these deities, different deities, Surya Bhagwan, Indra Dev, all kinds of deities are placed in home, Kuber and all. So Deva Yagna, they are offering prayers to these, doing homas, rituals, celestial deities, and we express gratitude for natural forces such as air, water, um, uh, sunlight. So that is a householder in general. They are engaged in Deva Yagna. Then comes Rishi Yagna. Once actually my anyway. So next is Rishi Yagna. Rishi Yagna is honoring the ancient sages. So rishis have given us so much knowledge, and so when a person is studying, reciting, and the sacred scriptures like Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, this Mahapuran, they are their greatest works. So we are honoring them and we are respecting them. So this types of yagnas also people do. Then Pitri Yagna, which is we are offering respect to our forefathers, like any quality, whether it is external beauty, intelligence, self-control, anything that we have gotten, like without much effort, is because some of our ancestors have done that for us. So whenever we do these Shraddh and Pitri Yagnas, we are actually offering respect. So the householder is actually involved in those things also. Then then Bhuta Yagna. Bhuta Yagna is We are bhuta means what? Anything that is made up of five elements. So any creatures, birds, animals, insects, when we are compassionate to them, when we feed them, when we give them water, we are actually doing the bhuta yajna, and we are supposed to do that. And then manushya yajna, which is offering hospitality, selfless service to human beings, especially guests, the needy. It is not because what we get, but we are giving it to people because they need it. So that is called Manushya Yagna. So householders are usually engaged in these things, but then because they are engaged in these things, they miss out on the self knowledge. So this question that you've asked is very, very important, and I welcome this. And he says that the lifespan of people, they at night it gets taken away by sleep or indulgence, and during the day to earn money and provide for the family. And he's saying that every single human being, they are attached. They are attached to various things. That's body, children, family, wife, job, money, whatever. And they are saying that they are not seeing that these are impermanent, and there is something permanent within them that they are not looking and that they need to look. And they just live their life, and they fail to see their inevitable end. But even though they look at others, they don't think that it's a time will come when we also have to go. So we have to do what is the best thing, and that is what the question Parikshit has asked, that what is the best thing a person who's dying and otherwise also they should follow in their life. Then, O descendant of Bharata, one who seeks to attain the fearless state of moksha, he's saying he should listen to, recite, and reflect on the stories of Sri Hari, the soul of the universe. Um, okay. Okay. Can you give me a 2 minutes? Um, yeah, actually, my husband is not here. He's gone to India, and I have my son. So he was sleeping. He just woke up. Um, okay. So, yeah. So, blinded by attachment to their own body. Okay, this is done. And then he's saying that if anybody who's seeking to attain the fearless state of moksha, they should listen to, recite, and reflect on the stories of the Lord Sri Hari, who is the soul of the universe. So, he's not just the soul of our body. He's not just, Paramatma within us. He's present in everyone. So he's the soul of the entire universe. So he's saying to remember Sri Narayana at the final moment of the life is the highest reward of human birth. And this is what we are supposed to, we should aim at in life, rather than, okay, these yagnas are good, but we have to also think about our highest welfare. Then he's saying that even ascetics, O king, who are established in the absolute, that means they are self realized and have transcended all rules and restrictions, they take joy in speaking about the virtues of Sri Hari. So he's saying that even a self-realized person, they want to talk about the Krishna. And then he's saying that he's talking about himself, that how he came across. He's saying that this Puran that he's going to tell to King Parikshit, known as Bhagavat, um, and as sacred as the Vedas, was studied by me at the end of Dwapara age from my father, Ved Vyas. He's also known as Dvaipayana. And he's saying that although I was fully established in the absolute, that is already I'm self-realized. It just that means just like Krishna is in heart of everything, that is how the sage Shuka was. And in fact, in the previous class, there was a question whether sage Shuka looked like a parrot. No, whenever a person gets liberated, they become Krishna. They get the body of Krishna. So if you remember the Dundukari, he also got a form of Krishna. And similarly, Sage Shuka also got a form of Krishna. So, although I was fully established in the absolute, my heart was captivated by the divine pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna, who is supremely glorious. So, he's telling that even got my mind got captivated by the divine pastimes of Krishna. So, and that is how I came to study this Purana, O royal sage. Since you are also a devotee of Lord Vishnu, I shall recite this very same Purana to you. So those who place their faith in it quickly develop selfless love for Krishna, the bestower of liberation. So if we want liberation, we know that in a previous session also we've learned that mukti was given to Bhakti Devi, and only when Bhakti Devi says mukti will come. That is the norm of the Kalikal. So only when we read this, we develop the selfless love for Krishna, and then when Bhakti Devi gets established in our heart, Krishna comes and he bestows liberation. So, for those who have developed an aversion to this world and seek to attain the fearless state of moksha, as well as for realized souls who have attained union with God, chanting the names of Sri Hari is regarded as both the best means and the ultimate goal. So then if we think that why we need to, if they've already attained moksha, moksha means freedom from the cycle of birth and death, and they have already attained union with God, what is the reason for chanting the Sri Hari's name? So when I was doing my studies on this next chapter, what I understood was moksha can happen in two ways. One is, you become while we in this form, we get we realize our own the true essence, and which is we are present in everything. We realize it, and that is immediate moksha. Then next stages we pass on from this bhulok, bhuvarlok, like that. We reach satyalok, and then from satyalok further we go into these elemental forms, and final liberation, which is like dissolving into Brahman. So that happens after many, many, many thousands and millions of years later. It will happen. So that is also there. So whether a person is doing immediately, which is through self-realization, or through bhakti yoga, eventually, if they want to, in both cases, Sri Hari's name they have to take. That devotion must be there, because that final dissolution into Krishna happens only by his mercy. And um, and we realizing that we are him only, not the identities, because it keeps changing. Then he says, for a man who's careless about his own true welfare, what is the use of a long life? And then he says, far more valuable is a single hour spent consciously striving for the highest good for yourself than doing any other, mundane job. It is a good karma that you're doing if we do something for others, right? We have to always look for our own benefit also in that process, in whatever we are engaged in, and which is, um, you know chanting Bhagwan's name or studying about it, something that will help in purifying ourselves and get detached from our identities. Then he's giving an example of sage Khatwanga, who actually had only 1 hour to live. So I've, because he mentioned this, I researched the story. And the story goes like this: that King Khatwanga was a mighty and righteous ruler who aided the Devas in their battle against the Asuras. And after securing victory over gods, gods offered him a boon. So instead of asking for material benefits, he inquired about his remaining lifespan, and the gods revealed that he has only one muhurta, which is 48 minutes to live. So he immediately renounced all worldly attachments and surrendered himself completely to Sri Hari. And through deep devotion, he attained liberation within that short time. So he's saying, and then he further says that Khatpanga had only, one muhurt. You have 7 days to live. So use this time wisely to accomplish all that that will bring you welfare in the life beyond. Then he says how a person, at the end of his life should, what should be his course of action. So he's saying that when a hour of death arrives, a man should cast off all the fear and sever the bonds of attachment to his body and all that he considers his, his loved ones and anything, any material thing. He should sever all his bonds and with the sword of non-attachment, which is he should have enough vairagya that he becomes capable to do that. Then he says that, and then he should not get emotional about anything. With full self control, he should leave his home, bathe in sacred waters of holy river or lake, and sit in a clean place as per, um, you know, uh, scriptural guidelines. And he should mentally chant Om, which is composed of 3 parts. That is Aum, like that. And then he's saying, controlling his breath, he should also restrain his mind. So one thing is he is detached, he's left everything, taken bath, and now he's sitting properly in a good place as per scriptural guidelines. He's chanting Aum, and then he's controlling his breath, and through his breath he's restraining his mind, because now he wants his mind to be concentrating on something. And he's saying that, he should chant, and his mind should never lose awareness of that aum that he's chanting. And then, with reason as his guide, he should withdraw his senses from objects. So, what is the reason as his guide means? He should have enough content for the nididhyasana, that his mind should not waver. If we don't have enough information, we'll think about something, some random things. So his mind should have enough information that he cannot think of anything else other than this. So he should ensure that he never loses awareness of pranava, and then he should withdraw his senses from the objects, and he should use his intellect. The intellect should be that pure that it has, and he should focus his mind. This I And mind's nature is, it gets distracted by the tendencies. So we have to, from the very beginning, work on our tendencies: kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. Anything can, take us somewhere else. Even though we are sitting here thinking that we are thinking about God, we can think about many many other things. So he's saying that we have to learn to withdraw our senses, restrain our minds, and use our intellect, and focus this mind on the blessed form of the Lord. So we have to concentrate on God's form. So now, with the focused mind, he should meditate on any one limb of the Lord's body. So any one limb, he's saying. So we'll know now the cosmic form of Bhagwan and how what all his limbs contains. So he says that as the mind withdraws, so when a person actually keeps imagining this form, his mind becomes, starts concentrating, and it becomes completely absorbed in the Lord. And when that stage happens, when the mind is totally thinking about Bhagwan and nobody else, in that stage, the supreme, that state when we can we have the vision of this form of Bhagwan, and by attaining it, the mind is filled with ecstasy of divine love, and that is when we become true bhakt. So when we see, when we have this vision and this constant steady vision, if during meditation the mind is disturbed by rajas, which is actions, any desire, or clouded by tamas, like, oh, we are feeling sleepy, again we are standing, again we are feeling sleepy, then he's saying that we should have enough practice, that we should be able to restrain these rajas and these tamas, and focus and develop a focused concentration. And then he's saying this practice removes the impurities. So when we actually learn to focus, learn this concentration, then our mind gets purified, and the yogi is able to behold this object more for a longer time. And when that happens, he immediately attains yoga. So when we look at God, or when the ego actually not saying anything, gets attached to the form of God, then that we attain the union. Then this mind will cannot think of anything and everything will be attached, become association of God. So which is marked by bhakti, which is loving devotion. So this, when Sri Shuka mentions to sage Parikshit, then Parikshit have some questions. He says that, okay, this concentration that you are telling, how is it practiced? And what object has it been approved by the scripture? So, because he is just saying that, limb of the body, so he's not explaining how what all we have to concentrate on. So he's saying that what is that object, and how is this concentration practiced, and what kind of concentration quickly removes the impurities of the mind, because he's saying that this practice removes the impurities caused by rajas and tamas, right? To have to for us to develop that one steady, one pointedness. So what kind of concentration quickly removes the impurities of the mind? So then Shukha replies that having attained the steadiness in posture, you've controlled your breath, overcome your all attachments. Now you're sitting here, you've subdued your senses. Uh, then we have to first fix the mind on the material form of the God. So now he explains the material form. So his material form is also known as his cosmic or universal form, the grossest of the grossest. So within which this entire phenomenal universe is seen in its present, past, and future states. So if we think about ourselves also, we stand here and we can also think about our present, past, and future. So this cosmic or universal form is not just talking about one large cosmic body, but it is also indicating that it is us only. It is within us also. Because if we remember, the Kalikal is at the time where the Devas and Asuras both exist within us. In the Dwapara, it was in the family, like that. In the Treta, it was in the same planet, and in the Satyug, it was among different planets. So basically, right, everything is within us. So when I'm talking about this, you have to not think about the some external person, but is also within us. So this the Lord that dwells within this cosmic body, made up of seven sheets. Our body is also made up of seven sheets, which is earth, water, fire, ether, ego, mahatattva, and prakriti. is known as the great being. So what is Mahatattva, what is ego, what is these five elements and primordial matter and all? Next chapter it will come, and I think it comes, or I will explain it. Um, so he says that this Lord is dwelling within this body that have these sheaths. He alone is the supreme object of meditation and concentration. So we have to think about him, and already mentioned that we have to concentrate on one limb. So let's see what are they. So he says that knower of the truth describe him as follows. So he says that Patal is the it's a lok, okay, and it forms the sole of his feet. Then comes Rasatal. There are 14 loks. So all these 14 loks are within us. So Patal is the feet. Rasatal is the front and back of his parts of this his feet. And then comes Mahatal. Mahatal forms his ankle. And um, next is Talatal. Talatal is the lower part of below knee, okay, lower part, both for front and back, okay, of Bhagwan is the Talatal. The uh, Maha, um Mahatal is the ankle, Talatal is the lower part of the leg, Sutala is represents the knees of the cosmic being, and Atala, this is Atala, and Vitala. These are actually the thighs. So the upper and lower portion of the thighs are Atala and Vitala of the cosmic being. Next is the Earth's surface, which is the Bhulok, corresponds to his lower hip area, loin area, and the Bhuvarlok is his navel area. The Swarglok is his chest area. Maharlok is his neck, and Janalok is his face. Tapolok is his brow area, and Satyalok is the abode of Brahma. No, Satyalok. Where is Satyalok? Satyalok is the head of the thousand-headed Lord. So Lord has thousand head. So it's not exactly thousand. You can say that it's a lot. So thousand-headed heads of the uh, headed Bhagwan. Unka. I mean, that represents is represented by Satyalok. Now the gods from Indra downwards. So Indra Swarglok is in the chest area. So chest downwards. So whatever is there, they are called lower gods. So the gods from Indra downwards are said to represent his arms. And now we have seen the gross form. So what are his body containing? Now we'll go to the subtle senses. So which is the sense of hearing, seeing, tasting, smelling, and all of that. So he's saying that the cardinal directions, which is the four main directions, they his ears and the sound. They are so the cardinal directions are his ears, and the sound is his sense of hearing. Then the Ashwini Kumars called Nasatya and Dastra. They are the celestial physicians. They form his nostrils, and the sense of smell is the odor. Odor is the sense of smell, and flaming fire is his mouth. So these are like some esoteric meanings to it, but basically these are, they are mentioning the limbs, and we also have the same thing. So the sky constitutes his eyes, the sun represents his sense of sight. So the sun represents his sense of sight. If we don't have light, we cannot see anything. So the light comes from sun. So that's how the sun represents his sense of sight. And the day and night forms the eyelids of the cosmic beings. So now that we look outside, we can actually see God in everything. So the abode of Brahma represents the play of his eyebrows. So we've seen that he looks at Maya and Maya creates things, right? So Brahma creates everything, all the lokas. So when Brahma is in the creation mode, it is the play of his eyebrows, is what it means. What is his palate? And the taste is his tongue. So next time we are tasting something, it is him tasting. Shyness forms his upper lip and greed his lower lip. So if we say that if we don't get anything, it's like we pout our mouth, right? So it's like, oh, so that's like, okay, we are in a greed mode. And when we close our mouth and it's like we should not talk a lot or something like that, it's like, okay, this is the shyness that is coming. Then piety constitutes his right breast, while the path of unrighteousness is his back. So whenever we are unrighteous, we are actually um, it's the it's representing his. So basically, it's not about even being unrighteous or not, righteousness or unrighteousness is him only. The oceans form the cavity of his abdomen, while the mountains represent his bones. So even the oceans that we are, you know, dirtying, it's his actually his abdomen. It contains so much of secrets within. Mountains represents the stability. So anything that we are doing to the nature, we are doing to ourselves. We are doing it to God. The rivers constitute his arteries and veins, and the trees are the hairs on his body. And O King of Kings, the air with its infinite strength is his breath. Time represents his moment, and the uninterrupted action of the three gunas is his activity. The wise recognize the clouds as the hair on Lord's head, and the twilight, which is the Sandhya time and the morning, Brahma Muhurt, as the garment of the infinite being. And they declare that the unmanifest primordial matter as his heart, which is when the Bhagwan is initially in his unmanifested form, then he divides himself into Prakriti and Purush. So this unmanifested primordial matter is the Prakriti. So we say na Radha is the heart of Krishna. So that no, so he's saying the unmanifested primordial matter as his heart, while the moon, which governs emotions, represents his mind, the seat of all passions. So we have heard and maybe experienced also that how moons, three different phases of moons affect our own emotions. And they describe the Mahat Tattva as his power of understanding. And so Mahat Tattva, what it is when the unmanifested, the Krishna, Bhagwan, when he takes on to this, Prakriti and Purush, then Purush is there. Prakriti is the primordial unmanifested matter. And then from this, the first manifestation is the Mahat Tattva, which is the cosmic intelligence of the this primordial being. Okay, so this Prakriti. So that is Mahat Tattva, and this Mahatattva then forms different egos, which is different animals, birds, human beings, different other worldly beings. So all this is coming from this Mahatattva. Mahatattva is the big ego, the cosmic intelligence, and who is self-aware, and then comes the smaller egos, and we restricting ourselves in different identities. So they describe the Mahatattva as his power of understanding, and um, so he is the ultimate intelligence, is what it says. And then Rudra as the ego of the universal spirit. So um, whichever ego is there, it is represented by Rudra. So that is why it is the final step of any person realizing their real self is transcending this ego. So when we transcend this ego, which is we say na we cannot reach Krishna without praying to Shiva. So this is what it means, because Shiva destroys the ego, and then we go to the next stage, which is the cosmic intelligence. So his power of understanding, and Rudra as the ego of the universal spirit. So that then just as the dreamer. sees himself appearing in various forms within a dream. When we are dreaming, if we are seeing different appearance of ourselves, then um, it is the one all witnessing self who perceives and experiences everything through the intellects of all beings. So for this cosmic being, every form is like a dream, and he is experiencing everyone in being in a dream state, thinking that it is this particular identity, but there is only one. Therefore, one should devote oneself entirely to that embodiment of truth, the source of all bliss, and not become attached to anything else. So, if we are getting attached to a person or an animal, a bird, or anything, the that should not be the aim. The aim is to devote oneself entirely to that embodiment of truth, because everything else is just a dream. Such attachment, which is to anything else, will lead to degradation of soul, because it will create another desire, and then we are stuck. Again, we have to come back to fulfill it. So that one desire that a person should have is to realize that self. So then he further says that horse, mule, camel, elephant, all kinds of animals, they all, they represent his nails, while deer and other animals dwell in his hips and loins. So even animals are a representation of him. The birds are his marvelous creation, while Manu, the first Manu, Swayambhuva, represents his intellect, and man is his abode. So again, see, just like outside, macrocosm, microcosm, he is within us, and he's not just within us, he's within every, the smallest, the living or non-living. It is all him only. So we've seen mountain, the sky, cloud, the trees, everything. Now he says the Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, Charanas, celestial musicians, demigods, celestial singers, Apsaras, they, they embody the remnants of his divine melody. So they are also within him only in one of these lokas. And while the demons host represent his virility. So this is another um, even the demons are within him. So is his representation. The Brahmana represents his mouth, Kshatriya his arms, Vaishyas his thighs, and the Shudra his feet, that is the feet of the Almighty being. So then he says that the performance of sacrifices conducted with material offerings like clarified butter and dedicated to various deities is his divine occupation. So that means whenever a person is doing yagna, yagna is what? An activity which is selfless, and which is like a gyan yagna means what? We are ready to give up our ignorance, and we are giving it uh, at the Bhagwan's feet, spending time to gain our the knowledge that we have forgotten. So, like that, any yagna that we do towards God, thinking about God, chanting, anything, any tap. So, all these, when we do, is Him doing. It is His divine occupation. Whereas, when an activity is ego driven, it is karma. Then, thus, I have described you the vastness and constitution of the cosmic body of the Lord, and it is upon this grossest form that the mind should be focused, guided by reason, which is we should do nididhyasan. Why this is being said, why that is being said. Keep thinking about it because it purifies us. And he's saying it is upon this grossest form that the mind should be focused, guided by reason, for nothing exists apart from him. So this ends the first discourse of the Canto 2, the book 2, which describes the cosmic body of the great being, and the method of concentration, and what a person should be focused on throughout his life. And that will just, that time, that end time will just if we are doing all of this, it will probably make this life at ease, but we cannot say what kind of circumstance will come at that point of time. But at least we can do something on this line, which is working on our welfare. So that's the this class, and then I have included some more points which while I was doing more research on various aspects. So if anybody has any questions. Does anybody have any questions? Should I proceed to the next section?
Um,
I have one question.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
so,
same.
before asking the question, I wanted to say thanks. I mean, your kid is on his own, but yet you took the time. I know it's very difficult with kid and handling on your own, but still you took the effort. So thank you so much for this.
Thank
And
you.
then I'll get back to the question. Like when you say that meditate on the form of God and you brought the vastness of the entire universe as God, doesn't it get difficult to think about the vastness and meditate? Because while meditating, we try to focus, right? And focus, it's like laser sharp. We try to limit onto a small thing or a small point or something. So if like will our attention get dispersed during meditation if we have to think of all this vastness as form of God?
No, no. The thing is, what we have to achieve is this the devotion. Okay, so which is not a mechanical process, but something that happens very naturally. So at the initial stage, now whenever we are performing any rituals or anything, because our parents have said this or something, it is just a very beginner stage. But a stage will come when it naturally becomes where you cannot think of anything else. You, wherever you go, your mind will naturally bring you to that. That's why that concept of ishtadev comes. And in fact, people from some other religions, they don't even have a form, so they will just think of Bhagwan as everything. And even I have mentioned aham brahmasmi means everything is Bhagwan, so we don't have to focus on the entirety or anything. We just have to take one thing and just focus on that particular thing as Bhagwan. And slowly and steadily it will expand in you. You will understand that it is not just one Bhagwan, but every Bhagwan out there is a representation of him only. So that will, when that comes, it's a stage. So right now, what you're thinking, on whom you're thinking is perfect. It will grow. There is no other way, and that will naturally come. I hope I have
Thanks,
answered.
thanks, Pratyush. Yes. I like.
Okay.
I hope I get it day by day. That's the only thing I'm wishing for. Yeah, not the only thing,
It
but
will
one of the
happen.
most important things.
Even for me, when I was studying Bhagavad Gita, I was a Shiva devotee. From there I started my journey into Krishna, and somewhere I found the same love. Then I understood they're not different. Then I was one day praying in front of all my deities in my small temple, small collection of Bhagwan, and I was looking at each and every one, and I was seeing, okay, this is Bhagwan's, these qualities is represented by this quality, and it just keeps growing. You look at everything, it grows, and that true devotion, I mean, true, I don't know, but it will come. It just grows. It grows and grows and grows and grows. It will not limit you into one thing, but the starting is always from your ish. Okay, so
Yeah.
I wanted to discuss this the universe as a divine form. So something that I've um, collected, which is the the 14 lokas exist within his body, it exists within our body. So it demonstrates that all living beings live within Lord's consciousness. So because we are living in Lord's consciousness, we are not a separate consciousness, we are him only. And him um, identified as some a person. Then I have just, you know, I was just thinking that if Patal is the feet of the Lord, why is it different from some other lok? So what I found was, see, Patal represents the absolute material attachment. So a person who is has nothing to do with Bhagwan, his absolute only what he wants is material things. He's involved in darkness, and he's in complete ignorance, trapped in sensual indulgence and greed. That kind of people, you know, they are said to be having this nature, which is of the people from Patal. Then Rasatal, which is forming his the front and back side of his feet, they are realms of asuric forces. So basically, what happens is whatever level we are living in, like when we'll read, we'll know. When we die, we go into those realms. We stay there for some time, which is we say that we suffer or we enjoy, and then we come back again. We take this human, but in between we take multiple other forms also. Then Rasatal, these are realms of asuric forces filled with conflict, deception, domination. It corresponds to ego driven existence. Then Mahatal, a world of pride and possessiveness, where beings cling to status and power, refusing to surrender to dharma. Matlab everything is I will modify according to my desires. So such people, they will because it is their desire to be like that, they go into their world, and they it's not about suffering. They will meet their matches. Then Talatul, the place of illusion and mystical deception, ruled by demon Maya. Those obsessed with manipulation and magic, whoever is involved in all of those things, manipulates, they go there. Sutala, where Mahabali lives. So he is the realm of righteous but materially bound beings. They live in discipline and material prosperity, but they are not spiritually free. That means they don't have free will there. They live as per discipline and material. They have material prosperity there. Then Vittala, which is upper thigh, and Atala, lower abdomen, which is upper and lower portion of the thigh is what is mentioned there. So a realm of supernatural beings filled with pleasure seeking and laziness is their nature. And Atala is world of lust, desire, illusion, and it traps the beings in endless cycle of craving and temporary pleasure. Then, so this 14 lok is divided into lower lok. So I've mentioned lower lok, 7. Then 8 is earth, which is bhulok. Here, karma is created and resolved also. So if we learn to become equanimous, it gets resolved. And if we gain knowledge also, it gets resolved. So, knowledge of our true nature. Then it represents creation, reproduction, and dharmic tests. Many tests will come, and humans can attain moksha only from this loka, also represented by Muladhar Chakra. So, a person who have you know um, grown their consciousness enough to reach this level of consciousness at the Muladhar level, they will be born in the Bhulok. Then Bhuvarlok. Bhuvarlok is the astral plane filled with celestial spirits. So this is our Pitrulok. So it represents subtle desires and unfinished karma, and is represented by Swadhishtan Chakra, which is again they have some unfinished business. They have desires. Then comes Swarglok, heavenly realm. Pious beings enjoy celestial pleasures here, represented by Manipura chakra. So a person who has developed their consciousness till that level of Manipura chakra, they go to Swarglok. Then Maharlok, the realm of great sages and rishis, who have almost reached liberation. So I have included a pralaya. I don't know if I have time or not. I don't think so. But in that pralaya section, the first type of pralaya, or the second type of pralaya, up to here, everything gets um, destroyed. Then comes the next. Maybe I'll discuss in the next class. So Jana Lok is the phase which is higher spiritual beings focused on knowledge and divine realization, and Tapolok, realm of ultimate penance, constant meditation on Supreme happens here. And Satyalok is the abode of Lord Brahma and enlightened beings, or on who are on the verge of moksha. They are here. So I've mentioned in the next chapter, it will come that the moksha can happen immediately, which is now, or it can happen through this progression, which is from Muladhar, Swadhisthana, Manipur, and every time this break happens and comes back, break happens and comes back. Whenever we die, we get a break of whatever, all our actions, good and bad, we go and suffer, or we enjoy and we come back. So there's a and the person who has reached the Satyalok, which is they have activated their Sahasrar Chakra, they are on the verge of moksha, or they are enlightened. So the hidden meaning of all these, the different types of lokas is the structure of the Virat Purusha mirrors the journey of consciousness, from the lower material attachment, which is feet, to the ultimate divine realization, which is Sahasrar. So it is the journey of this consciousness, which is Bhagwan, who have identified himself as a lower being, and then he's removing his ignorance, and he's moving ahead and realizing himself that okay, I am not all of this. So this is what is represented by this Virat Purusha, and this is our journey. I think next things we'll discuss in the next class. So anybody has any questions? Um, okay. So I hope this was very informative, and probably we'll discuss these things first, the next class, and then we'll go to the next chapter, because these are so much knowledge, and I'll go one by one. If something is easy, I'll probably take two chapters. Otherwise, mostly I'll take one by one only, so that we can understand it more better. So with that, I think if nobody has any question, we can end the session. Thank you again for this lovely opportunity. I'm able to learn, I'm able to explain. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Radha.
Radhe Radhe.